Hey everybody, welcome back to the Court of Random Opinion. Sorry, I'm seeing all your comments. Yes, I'm late. Okay, so if you're watching this on replay, you're gonna want to skip the first 2 or 3 minutes about this because I'm gonna ramble. I'm just gonna ramble for a minute. I got caught in thunderstorms all day. I was driving from Jack's where I live, and I got to South Florida like 30 minutes ago. So I was getting caught in thunderstorms all day, and I look like I was struck by the lightning. I was not, in fact, struck by the lightning, but if you were looking at me right now, you would have questions. So we're not gonna have my face on the screen today. So we're just gonna have to listen to my voice, which is, take it or leave it. This is like a 5-page letter. It's like 3 pages actually, so it's not gonna be a very long read through, but it is like 11 o'clock here, so I just want to go over this quickly before I go to bed because I really need to get some dry clothes on and sleep. So, all right. I'm glad you made it safe. Yeah, thank you very much. So my family has this. My grandparents got this timeshare down here for like a week every summer, and they've had it forever, like way before I was born. And so my uncle, my parents, they switch off every year. And this year, my parents were like, "Well, we can't go the whole time. We're just not going to go." I was like, "What do you mean you're not going to go? Give it to me. Give it to me." Like, but so yeah, here I am. Because like, fuck, condo for free for a week. Why the fuck would I not do that? Sorry. When I'm drinking, you're not going to be able to tell, but I'll go quiet so you'll know. All right, let's pull this up and get this over with, shall we? And it's a good letter, so it's not like get this over with, but let's not wait any longer. I think I've rambled enough. All right. So this is a response from Jennifer Abel's attorneys. And remember that Van Zandt had replied to them. They put out a motion to compel Van Zandt for these documents. They want a copy of or not a copy, but the original subpoena that was served to Stephanie Jones. And they want the stuff that was received. And then they also want documents that show basically that they're a real company and not, in fact, a broom closet in Manhattan. Not so sure that there are any documents to show such a thing, but good luck with that. Anyways, the Wayfarer parties, apparently, after the meet and confer one time, Van Zandt said that they stopped the meet and confer process and like complained that they went to the judge and they never emailed back, I guess. To which I said, if you're arguing with a literal broom closet, why would you email back? Like, what is there to argue about at this point? They've done like one thing in the history of their company. So they ordered some furniture for a Taylor Swift video for fucking ever ago. The company went defunct, to my knowledge. Maybe that's not the right word for it. Prove it's not a closet, dude. They can't. Yeah, so the company, to my knowledge, went defunct or was like defaulted or something like that. Katie Joy had some screenshots up on Instagram today that show, the whole deal with that. But they've not been in compliance for like 4 years or something. And then they used this shell company, which has done nothing but purchase some British fucking furniture in the last 10 years. They used the shell company to subpoena Stephanie Jones. Who is in the company? I don't know, maybe Ryan. It is a broom closet. All right. That was mean. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. Yes, I did. Okay. So this is the response to Van Zandt. It's gotta be Ryan's in it. Yeah, great minds, yeah. This is the response to Van Zandt, who are trying to fight Wayfarer from getting these documents for reasons that are understandable only to inanimate objects, because that's their board of directors. It's just a bunch of brooms and shit. All right. Defendant and counterclaim Jennifer Abel, blah, blah, blah. This reply is necessary to address new issues raised by Van Zandt and Lively, including Van Zandt's agreement to withdraw its objections to certain requests. In her answer and counterclaim, Abel contends that Stephanie Jones and her company Jonesworks collaborated with non-party Lively, and it's non-party because this is on the docket, Jones versus Abel. So Blake Lively, even though she had her attorney Ezra Hudson kind of insert a letter into this docket, this is actually not, she's not a party to this case. All right. With non-party Lively and her counsel to fabricate a sham lawsuit, the Van Zandt action, for the sole purpose of obtaining documents that Jones pirated from Abel's phone and iCloud accounts without waiting for discovery and anticipated litigation against Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios, and without notice to Abel or the Wayfarer parties. Lively admits that the Van Zandt action was a sham, contrived for the sole purpose of obtaining Abel's text messages as part of investigation preceding Lively's filing of her claims against the Wayfarer parties. One sec, I need a sip of water. All right. Abel has subpoenaed Van Zandt for information relating to Van Zandt's ownership. For example, whether it is owned or controlled by Lively or her husband, Ryan Reynolds. A copy of the subpoena Van Zandt served on Jones, and the documents that Jones purportedly produced in response to the Van Zandt subpoena. Van Zandt objected on the grounds that the information was irrelevant. That's funny. And that is a non-party. I'm so tired. I'm like giggly, delirious tired right now, man. I can't even, this is why you can't see my face right now, because I look like it too, man. I look like a psycho. All right. Van Zandt should be required to produce documents that were available from parties to this litigation. In its response to Abel's motion to compel, Van Zandt agreed to produce documents responsive to requests numbers 1, 4, 10, and 11, implicitly conceding that Van Zandt's ownership, the sham Van Zandt complaint, the Van Zandt subpoena, I have to say Van Zandt one more time and it'll explode, and the documents Jones produced in response to the Van Zandt are relevant and discoverable. In other words, Van Zandt has withdrawn its objections to requests seeking documents concerning the Van Zandt subpoena, which facilitated Jones' transfer of Abel's documents to Lively. There's a footnote, hang on. Van Zandt does not explain why it did not agree to produce this plainly relevant and discoverable material during the meet and confer process, requiring Abel to file her motion to compel. So they did meet and confer, like I said, they did that. And then they continued to refuse afterwards. So the attorneys for Van Zandt were like, well, we'll consult with our client. Your client is a fucking mop. Like, what? Okay. In light of this agreement, this letter focuses on the single remaining disputed item, request number 9, and why this court should compel Van Zandt to produce Van Zandt's communications, including communications between and among Jones, Lively, and Van Zandt, or between their counsel, relating to the sham Van Zandt action and subpoena. This reply also addresses the objections that Lively, a non-party to the Jones action, has gratuitously asserted in her letter seeking to intervene or the court's permission to file a response. So remember, her letter filed by Ezra Hudson, who I just love so much. Sorry, Stuart, I'm not an Ezra fan. I know you are. But filed by Ezra Hudson, said basically they were trying to clear things up information-wise and said that Blake had basically sent a copy of the subpoena to Wayfarer back in May. But in May, when she sent that, they admit that like there were missing attachments, but they were like, basically it's Stephanie Jones' fault that there's missing attachments. So it's all very sketchy. So these guys are going to start throwing each other on the bus real quick. But the allegation, I guess, their sort of speculation is that it's possible that she didn't even get any documents in responsive to a subpoena. Maybe it was just like they had already transferred that information, which tracks because Leslie Sloan, the publicist for Blake Lively, was bragging about how Jen Abel was going to be sued because she'd seen her text messages the day Stephanie Jones extracted that information off her device. So it tracks that they had received that information before there was any subpoena. And then this, faked company was used to subpoena that information retroactively. So it looks like they got it legitimately. Although I'm not really sure how they thought this was going to end. To me, it seems like they never thought these guys would push this hard, this far. Like they maybe even at one point, Blake had never even thought to file a lawsuit. I believe she did tell Megan Twohey that as well. She never planned to go public. She never planned to do this. But this was a really bad way to cover it up, in my opinion. So it would have been smarter for her to just do nothing at all. Then again, we wouldn't be here if she was that smart, so. And she wouldn't have fucked up the marketing for the movie, would she? So sorry to all the domestic violence victims. Buy my shampoo. All right. Okay. Van Zandt continues to assert, and Lively now asserts, the same hollow objections to request number 9, which Van Zandt originally asserted to all Abel's request, namely that communications relating to the Van Zandt subpoena are irrelevant and not discoverable from non-party Van Zandt because they're available from Jones. Van Zandt does not explain why it continues to object on grounds it effectively waived for all other documents relating to the Van Zandt subpoena. Van Zandt argues that Abel has already received the only relevant documents from Lively. The documents received from Lively included a purported copy of the Van Zandt subpoena and documents Lively maintains she received from Van Zandt allegedly in response to the Van Zandt subpoena. Van Zandt does not and cannot allege that Lively produced the communications sought by request number 9. She has not. In any event, a non-party's protection against purportedly burdensome discovery requests is less robust where, as here, it is closely allied with a party. Here, in the related action, Lively herself produced the documents Van Zandt obtained from Jones pursuant to Van Zandt's state court subpoena. In other words, Lively is Van Zandt, and there can be no legitimate contention that is unduly burdensome for Van Zandt, i.e. Lively, to produce the communications responsive to request number 9. You know, somebody also said, I'm trying to remember where I read this. Somebody also said it wouldn't be appropriate for her to just give them to herself, basically as Van Zandt, and that she would need to go through the actual formal discovery process, send a subpoena to Van Zandt for that information, and get it that way. I don't know how accurate that is, but I read that floating around somewhere, so that's just something to think about, I guess. I'll have to ask Omar, but last I saw, he was at something that had a lot of marijuana, so I'm not going to ask him tonight. All right. 1 second. I'm going to drink some. Okay. Nor can Van Zandt argue with a straight face that communications relating to the coordination between Jones, Lively, and Van Zandt related to the Van Zandt action subpoena are irrelevant, particularly in light of Van Zandt's implicit admission that all other documents relating to the subpoena are relevant and discoverable. In fact, communications concerning the Van Zandt action and subpoena go to the crux of Abel's claim that Jones and Lively conspired to obtain Abel's stolen information and use the sham Van Zandt lawsuit to provide a veneer of legitimacy for Jones' transfer of stolen information to Lively. Such communications will also show whether, as Abel suspects, Jones provided data taken from Abel's stolen phone to Lively before service of the Van Zandt subpoena, and the Van Zandt subpoena was a ruse contrived by Jones and Lively to cover up what they knew was a wrongful disclosure of Abel's communications. Millennium Jenny 16, thank you for the $5 super sticker. I appreciate you, and I hope I say this right. Is it Shannon Connolly? Thank you for the $10 super sticker. I appreciate you guys. I hope I said your names right. The YouTube has messed up everything so that your handles are showing a different username or something. I have to try to fix it after this. Laura, one of my mods, sent me a long message about it right before I started this stream, and I was like, I'm absolutely not reading all that right now. I love you, though. I love you. All right. Further, even assuming that Lively produced or has possession of the communication sought by request number 9, there is no rule that the party sources must be exhausted before calling upon third parties to produce relevant discovery. And Omar said that the other night. So, for the foregoing reasons and those set forth in Abel's motion, Abel respectively requests that the court enter an order compelling Van Zandt to produce all documents responsive to request number 9 in the subpoena directed to Van Zandt. Yeah, so they basically agreed to give everything else up, but they were like, we're still going to fight this one. That's not fucking sus at all, right? YouTube has been a pain for days. Yeah, they did some kind of update and it's fucked. So I'll see if I can fix it on my end, but I'm honestly not sure. How long will it take before the media will start picking up on her lies? I don't have a lot of faith in that, to be honest, because think about the day the judgment came through. I was in Australia. It was the middle of the fucking night. But I remember because on the lawsuit subreddits, all of a sudden, People Magazine and TMZ care enough to post on Reddit their own articles. And so I'm like, what? That something fucking sketchy is going on there. They had it right away, and they posted it on Reddit. All of a sudden, they care about posting on Reddit. They had never done that before, to my knowledge. Not on the lawsuit subreddit for this lawsuit. So, I don't know, it's sketchy. So I'm not really, I don't trust a lot of the media right now, to be honest. And I try really hard not to be too paranoid or too skeptical, because I know that I can kind of I get in my own head sometimes, but I don't know, man. Something's off. Something is off with that. Hillary Ashley 43.95. Thank you for the $14 super sticker. I appreciate you. All right. Whoa, my whole screen started shaking up and down. Well, I didn't do that, so that's not me. I don't know what happened. They struck Cassidy's video down tonight within what 4 minutes? What do you mean? Which one? And what was it? And why? Does anybody know why they took it down? Or did she say? 1 second, I had a drink real quick. It was a part 2? Part 2 of what? I've been really busy all day, so obviously I can't YouTube and drive at the same time, so I must have missed it. You know what? I'll ask her about it. Ico? Brett and Aiko? Is that what we're talking about? Bots are getting heavy on Reddit. Reddit, all of a sudden that neutral subreddit got super toxic. And I fucking hate when people post my content in there to the point where I left the subreddit. I'm like, I'm absolutely not going to read this subreddit anymore because people are so rude, man. So I was just trying to do a nice thing, and you guys will see that pretty soon. Hopefully I'll finish it up tomorrow. I was trying to do a nice thing. And so somebody posted it in there, well-meaning, of course. And then there's a whole bunch of people who just comment on it, this is so cringy, this person's pathetic, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you know what? You guys suck. All you do is sit here on Reddit all day and insult people. At least I'm trying to do something nice. Some good in the world, But I don't know. I feel better now that I don't look at it anymore. It sucks, though, because I did like to read other people's opinions. And there were some people there who kind of leaned towards Blake Lively's side of things that I did like to read what they had to say because they were actually, well-reasoned and open to discussion, and they weren't just assholes. But it just got overrun with absolute assholes. So yeah, I left. And that's not a reflection on any one person in that subreddit. I think that's just kind of how Reddit is as a whole sometimes. So I don't want to. I'm not bashing the mods or anything like that. Just to be clear, it's just that's kind of the nature of Reddit. Once things start to swing in one group's favor, they're going to get kind of toxic a little bit. And that can go for both sides because it's Reddit, okay? It can go for both sides. I've seen both sides be very rude and unnecessarily critical. So I don't want to say that's any one person's fault or anything like that. That's just the way Reddit is as a whole. So, all right. I'm still on the Team JB subreddit, though, because I do like that one. It's a safer space. I can't believe I just said I wanted a safe space, but that is a safer space because I can actually just read what people think, and I don't have to read what they think of me. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know what anybody thinks of me. Just stop. All right. I think it's time for me to head to bed, guys, because, like I said, it was a long, long day. So, rude people on the internet. Yes, Zach. It turns out you're not the only one. Hey, Echoes, what's up? While I wait for the new revised video to upload, hi, how are you doing? Good to see you here. Unfortunately, I am actually going to leave right now. It has nothing to do with you just coming in. Swear to God. Salem's mom, thank you for the $10 super sticker. Appreciate you. But yeah, I'm going to get some sleep, and then hopefully I'll finish up that project tomorrow. And if not, it'll be Monday, so I'll let you guys know, though. The only thing I did on Reddit was paranormal about missing spoons from many people. I don't know what that means, but send it to me. I want to see. All right. Bye, everyone. I'll catch you later.